Soul loss and the shamanic story. In the South Siberian Republic of Kakasa, sightings of mountain spirits are getting more frequent every year. Some tagazi appear as huge horsemen wearing elaborate but old-fashioned clothing, while others come on foot, black men with no eyebrows, appearing where just a moment before there was no one. Some give instructions, others are silent. All appear far from human habitation. They inspire wonder and fear, like a meeting with a wild animal in the forest. Some people do not survive it. Kakasa is an especially rich source of mountain spirit lore, although very similar stories are told in Tuva and other Siberian regions, and there is a certain similarity in mountain spirit lore worldwide. Turkic Siberians have long lived with their herds in the steppe land, going deep into the mountain forests to hunt. They meet spirits there and in the treeless mountain steppe areas full of rock cliffs, caves, and ancient kurgans. Mountains are awe-inspiring and sacred places for ritual, and at the same time sources of food and valuable furs. People are often alone there, and it is easy to get lost, to fall into a ravine, be attacked by a wild animal, or crushed by a falling boulder. Although they form such an important part of the Kakas spiritual world, mountain spirits elude categorization. Intensely personal and individual oral records show them as catalysts for initiation, giving people untold wealth and artistic spiritual talents, and often causing death. But there is always a sense of something more, just beyond grasp. People seem to know immediately that a spirit is present. How? It is not just their appearance which is almost human, if unusual, but also a sense of danger or otherness. They have a solid reality. In some tales they shed blood and touch people. One strangles a hunter with his bare hands after the hunter disobeys him. Mountain spirits are distinguished from mountain people, although the two are often mentioned together. Legends tell of a race of mountain people, who were like human beings, only larger. At a certain point they went away, leaving their gigantic bones behind. Some tales show them as the builders of the kurgans. Similar giants also appear in the legend, which explains the source of the musical instrument komis, the gift of a mountain spirit. Some people believe they still appear from time to time. In fact, the people who lived on today's Kakas territory in the 2-3 centuries BC are known to have been of an Indo-European type. The yellow-haired man who appears on one of our stories may also recall their European features. People today view many of these tales as historical sources for the development of their ethnic philosophy, connecting images from the time of creation with immediate experience. New legends about the intervention of mountain spirits in human life influence the public rebirth of shamanic culture, and play a role in politics as well. In recent years, people from all walks of life have met spirits of mountains, of throat singing, of earth and water. Since 1990, spirits have clearly initiated at least one epic singer, given pointed warnings about the necessity of caring for the land and for traditional beliefs, language, and culture. They explain that only in this way can Kakashans survive as an ethnic group, and emphasize the necessity of returning the stone figures to their rightful places in the steppe. Unfortunately, many suicides among Kakas youth are also attributed to mountain spirits who have ordered the young people to take drastic action which they seem unable to resist. This collection of mountain spirit legends and magic tales is taken from the works of the 19th century Kakas ethnographer N.F. Katanov, and from the collections of Galina Kazachynova of the Writers' Union dating back over the last 40 years. We hope the stories will be useful to those studying languages and to all who love storytelling. Please bear in mind that the translations are not completely literal. Although we have tried to keep the Russian and English as close as possible to the original in meaning and style, we have made some small changes so that the stories flow easily in each language. There are glossaries in English and Russian for unfamiliar words at the end of the book. Notes to individual stories appear with the English versions. The stories. In tales about the mountains themselves, the spirit is not personified as separate from the geology. The Mountain Seven Girls tells of one mountain who desires to marry and becomes enraged when his beloved refuses him for another. In another legend, Mount Hirt stands in the way of the rivers Yenisei and Abakan as they race to the sea, influencing the courses they take today and their relative sizes. The resemblance between a spirit's visual image and a geographic formation is reflected again in The Bride of the Mountain Spirit, where a girl is abducted and spends 3 years inside a mountain. The spirit appears to the girl's mother in human form, but when he turns there is no movement in his neck, as if he were made of rock. Mountain spirits may offer people gifts, or challenge them to a competition. In our tales from the 19th and 20th centuries, most of those who accept the mountain spirit's gifts are storyteller, musicians and hunters. In many Circassian tales of initiation, a person learns an art from the mountain spirits, or the languages of the animals from a snake. He may receive a musical instrument, which in turn brings him good luck in hunting by attracting the mountain spirits who provide game. In many tales a hunter receives good luck directly from the mountain spirits. Refusal or betrayal of the spirit can lead to death or other trouble, as can refusal of the shamanic gift. In the tale of Kakim Khan, the Khan refuses to marry a mountain spirit, and endures grievous losses in war as a result. In The Bride of the Mountain Spirit, a girl who refuses to marry a mountain spirit gains wealth but never marries in the human world. The gift always has a negative side as well as the positive. Some of the gifted people lose family and friends. They may turn up alone in a distant century, or die before their time. Some stories, outside the scope of this volume, show the distinction between a gift that enriches the receiver directly, and the kind of artistic or shamanic gift which is used to benefit others. In spite of the personal difficulties that may ensue, Circassians show a preference for gifts which bring connection, choosing animal language, music, or the gift of a living being, often a puppy, over cold cash. Those who gain wealth without using physical skill, and who then live by trading, may wind up lonely as a result of contact with the dead metals from the lower world. A lack of engagement in life work is understood as being intrinsically less interesting and less evolutionary. This could reflect political realities as well as spiritual. The traditional way of life was both materially and spiritually richer but was severely damaged by the payment of tribute to the Tsarist government, which forced people to trade, and eventually impoverished them, and later by the collectivization and industrialization of the 20th century. Both females and males may be abducted in order to marry spirits or help them. This is sometimes a part of an initiation, but often these stories stand alone as anecdotes. For example, our illustrator, Alexander Kotoskov, tells of one man who was allowed to take back the children born to the marriage of his daughter and a mountain spirit, although the girl herself never came back. These legends offer an explanation for what happens to those who simply disappear on mountain journeys, and possibly for some illegitimate births. Mountain spirit tales may be connected to shamanic tales of initiation and the psychopomp ceremony. In one hunting tale, a man dies after being helped home by a mountain spirit. The man who wintered in a bear's den gets lost in the taiga, goes to sleep in a bear's den in midwinter and comes out with the singing of the cuckoo. He still cannot find his way home. A mountain spirit appears, helps him, but then strangles the man when he goes back on his agreement not to tell anyone who helped him find his way. The spirit could be seen as a psychopomp for a person who has died far from home and whose soul is still wandering in our world. It is possible that the man is already dead, after sleeping with the bear, and just doesn't realize it. It is equally likely that the events in the story relate what is happening from the soul's point of view during a shaman's psychopomp ceremony. Images of going into the earth, through unfamiliar territory, and the reversal of the seasons are familiar from shamans' reports on accompanying the souls of the dead to the next world. Further evidence for this idea is the fact that the mountain spirit offers the man some charred antlers to assuage his hunger, and the man feels satisfied from the smell alone. The mountain spirit explains that the man's family had assumed he was dead and had, too, celebrated the funeral. The smell of the meat they burned in the ceremony is what satisfied him, which is exactly what is supposed to happen. The man's wife is surprised when he reappears. They drink together and he tells her about the mountain spirit. At this point the spirit reappears and strangles him because he has revealed the secret of who helped him. It is possible that what his wife saw was not the living person but his soul after death, soon. He needed to revisit his home since he had died far away, and once this was accomplished the mountain spirit helped him permanently to the other side. From the point of view of the family, it is easier to let the man go after seeing him once more. Does the outcome of an encounter with snakes and mountain spirits depend on the whim of the spirit, the decision of the human, or some combination? What if the man who slept in the bear's den had not betrayed the secret? Would he have been able to stay alive? Perhaps he was not really dead after all, but hovering on the brink, and it was his own will that made the difference. Generally the spirit initiates the contact, but human decisions play a role in the outcome. In more than one case human ingenuity defeats the purposes of the mountain spirits completely. A man named Siganok who was taken to task by the mountain spirits for making noise on the mountain displayed his superior strength and wit when they took him to their home, and then tricked them and escaped. Likewise in the tale of the female mountain spirit a hunter resists the spirit's tickling, and shoots her. He and his brother scare two more spirits away from their camp after overhearing their conversation coming from inside the mountain. It's interesting to think that it might be possible to kill a spirit using a rifle. When the men arrive home an elder explains that if one gives into the temptation of a female mountain spirit, he will surely die. She wants him to be her husband in the world of the dead. This reflects a sexual element that is common in tales of meetings with spirits. Mountain spirits are in the whole backdrop of Kakas culture. Ultimately many mountain spirit tales involve the possibility of making difficult but life-saving choices. The spirits mediate between life and death, which may be why they are showing up now, in a time when the very survival of the Kakas as a people is at risk. Frequently recalling the time of creation, mountain spirit tales are strongly connected to music and storytelling, and track cultural and political changes. Mountain spirits offer help and punishment, like the dangers and blessings of the mountains themselves. 3. We open with the Kakas creation story, which sets the stage for the rest. This is a fragment of a much longer tale recorded by Katanov in the 19th century, which tells how the mountains arose and how Erlik Khan, the master of their spirits, first appeared on earth. It goes on to tell of the creation of people and animals, and the origins of many customs and beliefs. A similar creation story is told in other parts of Siberia and the Far East. Most have only one duck, who created the earth by pulling fluff from her own body to make a nest for her babies or by diving to bring up mud.